then Ginger, she got upgraded by the developers, so I don't know. Maybe she makes the cut. With her, the problem is if she encounters a team with Helios, then she has problems, because Helios will use his flaming retribution whenever one of his ally gets critically hit. And that's a problem, because when Ginger is using her ultimate, she hits a lot of adversary characters with critical hits, and usually then she dies when she's up against a reasonably strong Helios. Then she just dies, and also Lian can stop her, can jinx her with her force skill. So she has some arch nemesis there. Yeah, and if you want to go for a team with her, maybe she could do with someone who has armor penetration. So also we again go for Nebula. She places behind Nebula, so we will go for, let's say, Elmir, this famous trio with Nebula in the middle, and then as an attacking tank we take Galahad. And in last position, yeah, again, Jet would be very good at contribute to even more critical hits. So just make sure you don't encounter Helios in the opponent team. If not, she will die quickly. I'm not sure if Nebula in the middle always works against the mage team. Sometimes maybe Orion is doing better, because with his ultimate he is hindering the mages of the opposing team to gain energy for their first skill, and so maybe sometimes here Jorgen is better, even though Nebula is greatly powering up her two immediate neighbors. So the traditional way, attacking way, is certainly you go for Nebula and you don't go for Jorgen. So that's Ginger. So Darkstar is much more solid than Ginger, that's for sure. So if I were to go for a physical attack line like this, I really would prefer, maybe also we put sometimes Dorian in the last position if we don't have Jet yet. So Darkstar is much more flexible and versatile. Ginger has heavy ammunition and but also has some weaknesses, so I would prefer Darkstar and not really too big a fan of Ginger. Then Lars, we have already said many things about him. Together with Krista, he is really a strong mage, one of the strongest. You can also use him in certain chapters in the campaign. That's why I leveled him up for for some missions in chapter 15. He's very useful because there is a drilling installation. You can check this out in one of my other videos, and when this drilling installation manages to dig itself into the ground, it's really very hard to get rid of it. And when you just at the beginning of the second stage in a mission, you can use Lars' first artifact, and then this drilling installation will be swept yeah, to the brim of the screen, and is not doing much there when digging into the ground. Yeah, so to say it again, the twins, they are one of the strong characters to build a team around for Arena and Guild Wars. That's for sure, yeah. Then Fox, I already mentioned her. I'm about to build up this line with Nebula and Kira on my mini account on server 31, the newest server. Maybe you could consider that too at some point, to restart with a new it's the same account but a new identity, so to speak, on another server. Then you start all over. Could be interesting maybe at some point. Yeah, Fox will do good with any physical attacker. You don't have to go for Kira here, you can also go for Karg. Okay, when you go for Kark, maybe you want other heroes. He's a bit special physical attacker, but when you want to stick with Ishmael, this would also work very nicely. Then we have Dante. He's maybe he's not the very best hero, but still in some missions in the campaign he has a stabilizing effect. I'm thinking of these missions where you want to, where it is helpful to use Kark as a tank, and then you could put Dante behind him, because Dante with his dodge stat, he will stabilize, he will help Kark to maintain this position a little bit longer. And then again in this position, yeah, I think Marcus is doing even better job, and I guess also this new Andvari guy. Yeah, maybe just for this purpose in the campaign I would probably go with Marcus. So yeah, Dante is, one has to say, as it is now, not recommended to go for him. Of course it can be fun, and you see his first artifact is nice, and then you can play with Faceless behind him copying his first skill, not artifact, his first skill. It's a nice effect, but it is not really powerful. So maybe you don't want to go for him. Marta, yeah. She's a very nice healer. And also for the tower, I'm using currently on my mini account, I'm using a team with Marta, Celeste, there I have her at a reasonable level, Jorgen, Astaroth, and Faceless, and they are doing pretty good in the tower. Just have to make sure you don't go too fast, because Marta does the healing mostly with her third skill, and she needs some time until she can conjure that teapot. So take it slow, don't defeat your opponent too fast. And Jorgen and Faceless are doing a great job there, because when you can use Jorgen's ultimate, and then your opponents cannot build up their ultimate, and then maybe copy Jorgen by Faceless, so this gives Marta time to conjure up her teapot. And also against the final boss in chapter 15, when you have Marta and Faceless, then you can speed up the speed of all your characters, and this is decisive against this Seymour guy, final boss in chapter 15. You will find a video link for that also in my other videos on this channel. So yeah, Marta is a reasonable hero, healing hero, and with a special first skill to go for. Orion, yeah, he's a very strong mage. He's maybe not so popular for arena, because sometimes he has a tendency to attack early, but not to completely defeat the characters, and so the characters he attacks are loading up their energy fast and then can use their ultimate. And this sometimes is not very good, but still he's a very good mage, and he's doing a great job in Outland and also in the campaign. You really could consider going for him. Then we add Jorgen and Faceless and Helios and Aurora, and you have a very strong attacking line. Here instead of Faceless you can add Dorian, then you have a very solid line. Then Cornelius, he's a strong mage also, especially against other teams that have a lot of magical attack power, because with his is it the third skill or the second skill, he will make a magical barrier. Where do we have him? Rune of Suppression, an ancient spell which hits the enemy the highest magic attack and reduces their magic attack. Yeah, this is also useful, but I was thinking of the protective dome, so whenever he's using his third skill, the magic defense of your characters will greatly increase. So he's an interesting character also with his third skill, depending on magic attack, but delivering physical attack, physical damage. So Yeah, there are some interesting possibilities, especially for the campaign with him. Also in chapter 12 and 13, where you have the frozen visage guys, he's doing a great job because he has a devastating effect with his first skill on intelligent opponents. Yeah, of course, with him it helps if you have Faceless in the same team, then you can copy his first skill. So Orion, something like this. And yeah, sometimes now this is a team for the campaign only. You can go with Elmir, and now yeah, as a tank we had Galahad, and now he can really produce a tremendous first skill because you can trigger Elmir first. He will activate armor penetration, and then you can trigger Jorgen. He activates magic attack, and then you trigger his first skill, and now his monolith will pretty much destroy anyone. And then when you copy him by Faceless, then you have a second monolith flying over to your enemy who will cause mayhem. So that's an interesting line for the campaign, and yeah, there are many possibilities for Arena. You can add him with Karg, for instance. You go for a good line with Karg, say something like this. Yeah, then maybe add Ice in second to last position. Maybe better, let's go for Kai. Yeah, some guys they are using Nebula, but should be immediately aside Karg, not like this. What was I thinking of with this line? Yeah, maybe like this. Here Jorgen is in second to last position. This can be a nice line for Karg against teams with the twins because Cornelius adds some extra magical protection. Yeah, so he's a very good character. You could level him up for sure. Maybe you fully go for him. I also have seen lines with Nebula using Cornelius. This is also very strong. Just wait until Nebula places a little ball with her fourth skill to Cornelius, and then trigger his ultimate, and you will also get a huge amount of damage on the opponent. So thinking of this maybe a line for the campaign or also for the arena. We'll put Siri here, and last position, some solid guy. Yeah, if you're talking about the campaign, Marta would fit in nicely here. Yeah, something like this is also very strong to use him together with Nebula. Okay, so Galahad, I've said a lot about him already. He's the tank who will increase your attacking power if you have physical attackers in your lineup. So he's the only tank who has physical attack increase as first artifact. But of course, when you fail, you go all out with your attack, and your opponent can launch a counter attack. Then it's game over because he cannot bring back anyone in your team. But still, he is one of the tanks to go for. Yeah, now we come to characters. I've mentioned them already. Nebula, I think her best position is in the middle. And on the left and the right side are some guys who can really deal a lot of damage. So for instance, Dark Star on her left and Jing Mao on the right. And then a tank and someone in a final position. Yeah. It's a very attacking line. So Nebula is a very important support character. Just as important as Jorgen. Jorgen is maybe a bit better against mage teams or with mage teams, and Nebula is better with physical attackers, especially when you go with Kira. because Kira is very fast, and also Fox can help with her blinding of the opponents. Then sometimes really Jorgen isn't needed because they are so fast in dealing a lot of damage that yeah, the opponent is too late leveling up any defense, leveling up any energy bar for their ultimates. Chu is one of the top 3 physical attackers, besides aside Kark and Kira. So he's also very unpredictable and going sometimes for the back row, and also for the campaign he's very useful because with his second skill, if I have it correctly, yeah, his second skill, each of Chu's attacks deals additional pure damage to the target while sacrificing 2% of their own current health. So he does an extra damage of 4.6% of the enemy's current health. So there are some very potent bosses in chapter 14, the Cornock in the capital, Heart of the Capital mission, who has a lot of health. So when you use Chu with this skill, he will inflict some over 100,000, at least 100,000 damage, and this is very very useful, this skill, especially in the campaign. But he's also really strong for arena. There are many nice teams for him. I personally would use him together with Elmir, because Elmir places in front of him. He's providing additional armor penetration, whereas Chu's first artifact is providing critical hit chance, so that's a good synergy. Yeah, when you're playing with Elmir, Dorian is always nice, because when Elmir jumps back, he will load up his life bar when Dorian is somewhere in the back rank. And then, yeah, a lot of guys are using Nebula here, so the Nebula is increasing the attack of Chu. I suggested a special line here without Dorian, but with Lian and Jabba. This also can make sense, because when Lian is using her first skill and sending every one of the opponent's team to sleep, then these guys, they will not wake up all of them at once, but one by one, because they focus their attacks on only one hero at a time. So this can be strong. I'm not sure, I never used this line myself, but I tested it in a guild chat battle. So this is an idea, but you can also go with Dorian. Yeah, some guys playing here with Jorgen and Astaroth, making also a very defensive line. There are many possibilities for Chu. I have a tendency to use him in middle position. I think here he is a bit protected. When he is in the second position to the front, then sometimes when he's the first character to get attacked, then he gets stunned a lot of time. So yeah, when you go with a row like this, it's also possible, of course. But personally, I would prefer him to be in the middle position.